Okay?
Yes.
So thank you very much for the organizers and the teams of the Dalit Camera, to whom we are contacting today the first time. And as you have asked for that, how we are connected with the movement of the Kanshi Ramji, Bahenji and the Bahujan Samaj Party phenomena as such. Let me begin with the thing that right from 1965-70 onwards, the Kanshi Ram phenomena was operating in the entire country. In the beginning, it was limited to educated employees, some intellectuals, and some youngsters who have been the part and product of the post-Ambedkarite or post-Dalit Panther movement in Maharashtra. And during that stage in 1970-80, when Kanshi Ramji was spending a lot of time or actively participating, rather learning the entire discourse of Ambedkarite movement in Maharashtra, I came into contact with the Kanshi Ram Sahab in 1981 as the student activist. You will be surprised to know that that time Kanshi Ramji was not a known political entity or a social entity or any kind of identity. But he was in the stage of analysis, diagnosis of entire, not only Ambedkarite movement as such, but why the socio-cultural revolts which has taken place in the past in a different corners of the country, what is the net impact of those revolts, to what extent those revolts sustain, and what are the implications of such a socio-cultural revolts. For example, the socio-cultural revolt of Tande Periyar in Tamil Nadu, socio-cultural impact of Ayyankali movement or Srinarayana Guru movement in Kerala, or socio-cultural impact of Babu Manguram in Punjab pre-Ambedkar period, or socio-cultural impact of Harcharan Gurucharan Thakur's movement of Chandalas, we call it as a Namo Shudras also, in a West Bengal, or even a Satnami movement in the central part of India. So he was systematically studying, analyzing and articulating these movements. Kanshi Ram Sahab's biggest contribution, apart from other things, that he is the man who has compiled the entire discourse of socio-cultural movements in India. It is the biggest contribution of Kanshi Ram Sahab because he is the man who introduces to the south the Ravidas. He is the man who introduces a Nandanar to the north. He is the man who introduced to the people of the Gujarat who is the Harcharan Thakur. He is the man who takes the Srinarayana Guru from the remote corner of a Trivandrum to the entire North India. Periyar, same phenomena. Even a Periyar followers could not make the Periyar impact as a nationwide in that context. So Kanshi Ramji's biggest contribution is that he consolidated, compiled together the entire movement's discourse, right from Buddha, right from Charvaka to Babasahib, and then he came to certain analytical, his own reasoning, saying that why we failed, and then he diagnosed certain elements. So in that formation period of his movement, I came into contact with him as a student, and I represented as a student in a DS for that time. That was the second wing of the Kanshi Ramji's movement after the Bamsan. Because DS4 was basically a combination of youths, students and ladies. So these three wings operated, and during that period I came into contact with him. And thereafter I have been continuously non-stop for more than now 30 years, actively participating, holding a different responsibilities, performing the different roles and whatever the task assigned me. So I have been till 2003 when Kanshi Ramji was himself operating the movement directly. That time Bahenji was looking the north Kanshi Ram Sahab was looking the south. That was the division of the work between them. And that time I was the State General Secretary of the Maharashtra in 2003. But when 2003, after the ill health of the Kanshi Ram Sahab, I was deputed to Gujarat as a coordinator by the Benji, because she required some experienced people who were in the mission, who understand the mission, to develop the other states. So 2003 to 2005 I was the coordinator, national executive member, and I was looking after the Gujarat, Diu, Daman and Dadra Nagar Haveli. 2005, then once this Gujarat was set in a proper order, I was shifted to Kerala and Tamil Nadu. So Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Pondicherry, these three states I was looking after. This Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Pondicherry, these states I was looking up to just 2009. And meantime then I was also in charge of the entire South India, all southern states including Karnataka, Andhra, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Pondicherry. Thereafter I was also in charge of, for some time, to launch the party in the northeastern states, Nagaland, Manipur, Tripura. But somehow we could not take up that project further, but I was deputed there. For some reasons we decided not to proceed further because of certain varieties or the different kind of characters in the northeastern region, and therefore we could not pursue that. And now currently I am in charge of Kerala and Andhra Pradesh. These two states are the main coordinator of the party. Last 30-35 years, although I have been in Maharashtra, I have never been impressed by Dalit movement in Maharashtra, remember. That's the first reason you should understand. Because the other state people look at the people of the Maharashtra to get impressed about the entire phenomenon of the Ambedkarite movement. See, in Maharashtra itself, although Ambedkar force is there, movement is there, but that is not translated successfully into actions and the results. Culturally, yes, we are the force. In a literal world, yes, we are in the force. Even in a cultural phenomena, cultural programs, we are in the force. Education, employment, yes, we are in the force. But what about the movement of Babasahib in a comprehensive manner? And that's a big question. That's a big question. Because ultimately, what is the movement of the Babasahib? We can explain in two things. One is the destruction and another is the construction. Now, destruction we can say in terms of decasting the Indian society. We can call it as the destruction. And a construction means the construction on the four pillars of the Buddhist philosophy: liberty, equality, fraternity, justice. So, that should be the constructive pillars. So, Ambedkarite movement is broadly of these two things: destruction of the status quo unjust social order and construction of the new social order based upon these four pillars. That is the Ambedkarite movement. Now, our people don't understand, some people they don't understand, at least we can't say all, that how we can realize this construction and destruction. Now, Kanshi Ram Sahab, time and again, he used to remind us what Babasahib says about it. And in this entire process, our people adopt the different methods. For example, changing the name is one of the method. Changing the names. We are in Tamil Nadu. We were the Parayal, then we became the Adi Dravidas. Adi Dravidas. Or even in Punjab, we became the Adi Dharmis. So change of name is also one kind of the movement or how operated. That is the one method. Second is the conversion is another method. That leaving the Brahmanical culture, leaving the Hindu culture and adopting the different means. For example, the Buddhism in Maharashtra, Matua religion that is founded by Gurucharan Thakur in Bengal. So that is the Matua way of life. Or Satnami way of life in Chhattisgarh now. Or Sikhism in Punjab. So this kind of a cultural movement which we have taken place. Now, Babasahib was also quite vocal on one issue, that in the process of decasting the Indian society, you require a bigger force. You require a bigger force. If you exactly quote Babasahib quotation, that is a very interesting. It is in the volume of the Babasahib, and he says, if you want to destroy the power on other side, you have to have a more power on your side. And if you don't have a power, more power on your side, you cannot destroy the power on other side. Now this is a simple quotation, but that tells you a lot. Here is the one system, you call it the Brahmanical social order or the Vedic social order or the unjust social order. Here is the one social order which is absolutely premised on the values and the cultures of inhuman society, and therefore to transform such inhuman society into a humanistic society, or you say that a casteless society, you require a tremendous power. And therefore Babasahib, in his entire discourse after 1940, he was again and again focusing that a political power is the master key. In fact, this was well elaborated by Babasahib on 24 September 1944 in a Madras, when he was ordered by the Madras Corporation, when N. Shivaraj was the mayor and Tande Periyar was that present in that meeting. And then Babasahib makes it very clear, saying that ultimately for what our struggle is, whether our struggle is for few reservations, few concessions and the few jobs. And Babasahib say, no, certainly not. Our ultimate goal is to become the governing class to rule this country. So if you want to construct the entire Ambedkarite movement in a one sentence or one word, you can say it is a Rule India movement. It is Rule India movement. Now this Rule India movement doctrine or the message of the Babasahib in a post-Ambedkar period, not a single Dalit leader in the country, not a backward community leader, not a minority community leader who picked up this message or the discourse of Ambedkar, power discourse. Especially I call it as a militant power discourse. Militant power discourse. Now why it is a militant power discourse? Because in 1948 Ambedkar himself, when he was the law minister in Lucknow on 20th April 1948, he made a plan that in an independent India, constitution will guarantee a bundle of rights to these people, but still they will require a political umbrella, a coalition of the scheduled castes, the scheduled tribes, the backwards and the minorities. And this coalition should form or result into one political power, one political struggle. Then they will be able to protect these rights. So that was the Babasahib plan of even acquiring the political power. Even that time Congress people did not like the Babasahib idea, because Babasahib was very vocal in saying that you can throw the Patel and Nehru's government, don't think that the Patel and Nehru government is a permanent. If you form this coalition, you can come together politically, you can have your political power and you can form the government. In a post-Ambedkar period, Kanshi Ram is the only man who picked up this message. And after a preparation of 1965 to 84, this is not a small period. This is called as the non-political preparatory work by Kanshi Ram Sahab. Because 1964 he resigned from the job, 1965 to 1984, a long journey. And in this long journey, non-political journey, he laid down the foundations of his political movement. Now why he took a long years? And there is a reason. He was a firm believer of the basic reality that any political movement, for sustaining a long period, you must have a deep non-political roots. You require a deeper non-political roots. So 1965 to 1984, till the formation of the Bahujan Samaj Party on 14th April 1984, Kanshi Ramji was strengthening the non-political roots of his political movement. And therefore, after 1984, in the very first election, because 1984 is a crucial year, because the 1984 Indira Gandhi is assassinated, Rajiv Gandhi takes over. the new sympathy wave comes. And in 1984, in such a kind of situation, BSP fielded more than 350 candidates throughout the country. 350. Now, fielding the 350 candidates throughout the country, that was also remarkable development at that time. You will surprise that not a single candidate won, not a single candidate saved the deposit, but the Republican Party, which was claiming the legacy of the Babasahib Ambedkar that time, which was operating in different parts of the state, BSP secured more than 10,50,000 votes in the country that time, which all RP and all Dalit fractions throughout the country could not secure. So, political entry of the BSP was remarkable in that way. And thereafter what happened? Thereafter, immediately in 1985, we had a UP elections. Now, party is founded on 14th April 1984. In 1985, UP elections. And again, BSP fielded that time. UP had a 425 seats. There was no Chhattisgarh, Uttarakhand. And BSP fielded more than 300 seats. Again, not a single candidate won. But Congress was made to lose 53 seats because of the entry of the BSP. And Chaudhary Charan Singh party was benefited. And that was the first beginning of BSP's nuisance value in the Indian politics. Nuisance value. Because unless you create a nuisance for someone, you are not a cognizable force in the politics. Here Kanshi Ram ji created a nuisance. Thereby Congress party lost the 53 seats in Uttar Pradesh, and that was the biggest setback. Now look here, that time BSP got only 2.4 votes or 2.4% votes. Congress had 42% votes that time, 1985.